Hey, welcome to Parent Partners, a ministry of CVCA. My name is Jeff Bogue. I'm the senior pastor of Grace Church of Greater Akron. This is Emery Nickerson. Let me see if I can get your whole title down here, Emery. You're the assistant headmaster for instruction.
That's correct.
I've already I've confronted him about the length of his title, so that's who he is. And this is Jonathan and Mary Schaefer, the senior pastor of Grace Church of Middleburg Heights, right?
That's right.
And so we are not affiliated, but we want to be. We just decided to grab lunch together and hang out. Great church, actually. You should check them out. And so we're here with Parent Partners, and we're talking through this idea in this episode of navigating the college choice process, picking a major. So we're walking our kids through school. Heidi and I, we're starting our kids at CVCA in the 6th grade. So they're winding up. They're a sophomore, junior, senior, starting to think about the next step in their life and starting to say, Mom, Dad, what am I going to do? Or sometimes we're saying, hey, by the way, what are you going to do? Because the basement's not a real option for you, kind of a thing. How do we start this process, Emery? If we're talking about looking at schools, thinking about their future, what counsel would you give, just kind of coming from the education side of things?
I would recommend staying broad as long as you can and experimenting in a lot of different areas. So just because a child doesn't like a particular field doesn't mean that field's not important for that child's progress and what that child is eventually going to be called into. I would recommend at the beginning, particularly middle school and early high school, staying as broad as possible. As the child gets to 10th, 11th grade, kind of the upward years in high school, start thinking about what is the child really interested in? What is the child really good at? What gifts does the child have? At CVCA, we have an awesome program called the Schools of Distinction, where students can explore certain career clusters, medical professions, engineering, arts and humanities, ministry, things like this. Those opportunities are great opportunities for students to try things out, try careers and career paths out before really committing and before spending a lot of college tuition dollars and years of study after high school graduation. So trying things out with internships, classes, and seeing what they're made of and what God's called them to. That's really the question that we ask students to come back and center around. What do you feel God's made you for? And then what preparation do you need for that?
That is such wise counsel. Try stuff, right?
Yeah.
So don't just do what your friends are doing. Don't just get into a school of distinction because your buddies went there, kind of thing. But try stuff. The schools of distinction are wonderful opportunities at CVCA. One of my children is in the School of Business, and then one is in the School of Ministry. And they get to just dive a little deeper and just try it out and feel what it looks like and take advantage of those things. Jonathan and Mary, as parents, we're trying to navigate our kids through these things. What are the conversations that are happening at your home when you think about college and kind of those next steps of life?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, just to give some context, we have 5 children, and 4 of them have launched. All 4 of those have gone to different schools. 1 more still to go. And so we've been through the college search process a few times. And I would just piggyback probably off of what you said in terms of staying broad. And that would be staying broad in terms of what options are open to you. So looking at various colleges, what do they look for? Your coursework, what classes do you take? Your GPA, your test scores. A lot of colleges today are looking for well-rounded individuals, so they're also looking at what extracurriculars are you in? What kind of leadership positions are you in? What kind of service have you done in your community? So issues like that where you're really giving yourself a lot of openings in terms of what kind of school you're going to be looking at and who might be interested in you.
That's good. I think that what CVCA offers in terms of, like you mentioned, the schools of distinction, also J-terms, sometimes just exploring different ways and saying, what am I passionate about? I think the counseling, the guidance counselor, the college preparation time to say, even take a skills assessment and what's your passion. One thing that's been helpful for us is we thought when our first one went to college, we thought, there are certain schools that are just going to be out of the picture. Like you can't afford it, don't even apply there. And what we found out was sometimes when you said keep your options broad, when you're starting the college search, a lot of the schools that are bigger and more established have a lot more grant money available too. So our daughter ended up at a place where we never thought we could afford, and it was the same price as going to a state university. And because they had so much grant money. She wasn't a standout athlete or musician, but based on family need. And so we decided with our other kids, let's keep the options broad, let them explore, look, and then just pray like crazy. Lord, you know where they'll make the best connections and friendships and grow in their faith and as a person. And so we're entrusting them to you. So I'd keep it broad. I like that sense. Help them.
Yeah, I'm kind of making the stat up, but I'm close to it. I think it's something high. 80-90% of the people who get a degree don't work in the profession the degree's tied to, right? So I don't know it exactly, but it's an overwhelming thing like that. So the point of education in part is to round them, right, and to help them, and then we want to see them zeroed in on Christ. When you think about picking a school and you start asking the questions of a Christian university, a secular university, my kid's faith, those kind of questions, what are some of the things you wrestle with that? Did you guys draw parameters, or Emery, what would you have to say about that? You know, what does that boil down to?
Our kids have done a variety of things. 2 have gone to Christian schools, 2 have gone to secular schools. We did draw some parameters for one of our children in particular that we felt like maybe wouldn't thrive as much in a secular environment. But I would say such an important part of choosing a college is looking at what is the spiritual climate on campus, whether it's a Christian college or a secular college, to look at what churches are available, what parachurch ministries are available, and to start really looking into those, contacting those people. And even then, when you go to take your child to look at that school, if you can be there over a Sunday and go to a church with your child and begin to help them get established in that way, and then to pray like crazy. We've been so grateful for our 2 children who have gone to secular schools, that God has provided such amazing mentors, churches, people to point them to Jesus. And so he's really answered our prayers in that way.
One example is our daughter who just went off to college and is now beginning her sophomore year. You looked up 5 churches online. She does not have a car. And so we said, what are some schools that she could ride a bike to or easily get a bus to? And so she picked one of those 5 churches, and she absolutely loves it. She's involved in children's ministry. She's thriving. And we also looked at campus ministries, but we would say that having a church involvement is really critical, not just a campus ministry. But that's been really key. I would also say just the gift of CVCA, and they didn't ask me to say this, but that has been huge for our 3 who have graduated from there, or 2 and 1 on the way. That having an apologetics course and being able to discuss that with them, that's the kind of thing we wouldn't do at Family Devos, but that we would say, what are you learning? And to have those kind of mentors and models. Our daughter, when she was at West Point, she had something that she went back to, and she said, in my Bible class in my senior year, that was just huge for her. And raising her hand in class and saying, and she would go back to things that she had learned, and that was huge. That was an excellent training ground, being at CVCA for those who launched into a secular school.
If I could add one caveat too, another thing that we think is really important to look at, we've had some friends whose children have gone off to college and they've gotten maybe sucked into a group that, a cult.
Both at Christian and secular schools.
Right, at both. So to look into what's on a campus before sending your child there, so you can prepare them. You might want to stay away from this group because of this.
Yeah, think it through a little bit.
I really appreciate what you've said, and you're hearing the voice of wisdom and experience, having gone through this with a number of students. I think one thing that I heard you say that I wanted to kind of point at is every child is different, and you drew the parameters for one of your children a little bit differently than maybe for some of the others, and you have to look at who your child is and what is your child's relationship with God? How does your child interact with other people? Can you plop your child into a place far away without any real connections or family and feel like, yeah, my child's going to thrive? Or is your child someone who needs to be closer to someone that they already know? And these are all factors. It's not just what is the most prestigious school that my child can get into for what I think I want my child to do, or hopefully my child wants to do. It also has to do with where is my child going to become a full person, and faith, like what they're talking about, is really, really important. Investigating how is my child going to grow in Christ while at school is something that many families don't take the time to do. They assume that's going to be there, but carefully making that part of the decision is extremely wise.
That's great.
Yeah. Thinking through a whole life transition, right? And so we're transitioning to school. We're going to make sure the dorm room's set up. We're going to make sure the meal plan is done. We're going to make sure that the majors are getting locked in. And what about your faith, and what about your biblical community? And we're gonna try to hand off. And kids have sin natures. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna be independent. But as a mom and a dad, just trying to do the best that we can. These are big issues, and thinking them through, and talking to the kids. If you want to go into ministry, these are maybe better decisions for you. If you want to be a doctor, maybe this is the place to go. Those kind of things, and helping them think through the long term and making those decisions along the way. And there are resources at CVCA for that. There's counseling. We work to get the kids prepped for college. One of the things I appreciate is the academic resources that are at CVCA. Our CVCA grad is prepared to do the college life, and that's a part of the benefit of being a part of the school. And so know that we're here to help, right? We love the kids, we love you. These are massive transitions. High school is not the end of the world, but it can be a great foundation, and that's our heart. Let us know how we can help you. Contact the school in any way. Thanks for watching this episode of Parent Partners.